Welcome back. We have Roy Moore getting litigious over being duped on a TV show that wasn't what it claimed to be, what the ACLU wants to do with our sentencing guidelines, and a name for that future Madison ball team. I'm Mike Morgan, down in Alabama. Roy Moore, the former Alabama Chief Justice and former Senate candidate, has filed a lawsuit against comedian Sacha Baron Cohen, reports AL.com's Paul Gaddis. Moore's wife, Kayla, also appears as a plaintiff. Showtime and CBS also appear as defendants. Earlier this year, Cohen had Moore on his Showtime series, Who is America?, which is a show where they trick public figures into coming on and then try to humiliate them in one way or another. During his interview with Moore, Cohen brought out a device he said would go off if it detected a pedophile. And, of course, they had it go off when they waved it in front of Moore. Moore, you remember, lost his bid for the U.S. Senate seat that had been vacated by Jeff Sessions after being accused of pursuing young women, even teens, when he was in his 30s. The most damaging allegation being that he inappropriately touched a 14-year-old girl. Moore has denied all the accusations. He filed the suit on the grounds of defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and fraud. See, the Moores say they traveled to Washington, D.C. for the interview, expecting to receive an award for his support of Israel, only to find out that he'd been set up. The American Civil Liberties Union is pushing for sentencing reforms. They'd like to see fewer people going to prison and fewer people staying in prison as long as they do now. AL.com's Mike Kaysen reports that the ACLU says its proposed sentencing changes could reduce those behind bars from 28,000 to 16,000 by 2025. It's part of what it's calling the Smart Justice 50-State Blueprints Project. The argument is that the system punishes drug addicts and mentally ill, and then it locks up black folks at a higher rate than white folks. The proposed changes include steps such as making drug possession for personal use a misdemeanor, even in repeated offenses, and reducing the average time served for drug distribution and possession crimes by 70%, and the average time served for robbery and burglary by 60%. Now, State Senator Cam Ward of Alabaster, who's led prison reform efforts, said not so fast on some of the proposals. Quote, "You're not going to reduce the sentence for drug traffickers by 70%. I guarantee you the overwhelming majority of people in this state would not favor that." End quote. You know what the state legislature might extend prison sentences for? Naming minor league baseball teams things such as the Trash Pandas. Yet here we are, right here in the great state of Alabama, not even Mississippi, but Alabama, with a AA Southern League team beginning play in 2020 as the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Incidentally, they'll be playing in Madison. Now don't go and get mad at me for picking on them. Minor league sports have had a long tradition of unique and even weird nicknames. The Macon Whoopie over in Macon, Georgia, for example, which is one of the best all time. The Montgomery Biscuits, that's pretty awesome. The future Trash Pandas are currently known as the Mobile Bay Bears, which is pretty unique itself. When they announced their move to Madison, I really thought they might become the North Alabama Transplants, but they don't listen to me. A trash panda apparently is an informal name for a raccoon, famous for going through garbage or climbing a tree to get away from baying hounds.
Knock him out, John!
Well, thank y'all for listening. We really appreciate you. I promise we'll prove it by coming back here tomorrow. Leave us a rating on your app or our Amazon page if you will, and come by and see us anytime, 24/7 on the World Wide Web at AL.com.